Sancho to score. No mistakes this time.
That is a rocket.
Royce out. Another fantastic goal by Marco Royce. Haaland's volley is beautiful beyond compare.
Jetzt kommt das Wunder von Dortmund. Foulspiel von Inzo an Götze.
Needs to lay it off. We're going to shot away. Oh, what a goal!
Welcome back to Dortmund Dispatch. Today I'm joined by Joey. How was your weekend?
It was good. Catching up on some sleep after traveling last weekend, and I actually did a little bit of gardening. That's what life in your 30s turns into, is trying to make the garden out front look nice. So got a few flowers out there, have a blackberry bush and jalapeno plant growing, and we'll see how it goes, and hopefully it doesn't become food for little critters, because I'd like it to be food for me. How are you doing, Eli?
Well, good luck with that. I had a very busy weekend. I volunteered like all day Sunday. That's my new thing. I do be volunteering. Like 4 or 5 days a week at this point. It's a brutal schedule. So it's Sundays from 10:30ish till 4-ish. I typically am volunteering at this point. Wednesdays from 5 to 7:30. Like, it's a lot. And then you got to do all the administration tasks on the other days. It's a busy schedule. And last week I had 2 like interview type things. So actually I had 3. Oh my God. I was so stressed all week because of it. It's brutal. But Borussia Dortmund, they gave me 90 minutes of like lullabies, I guess. Like it put you to sleep type stuff,
93 minutes, actually.
Oh, 93, but then they did hit a wake-up call. My boy, Karim Adeyemi, wearing his jersey on the day, scores a wonderful goal, absolutely rinses his defender. And then we have a bit of a breakaway, and Fabio Silva finds Julian Brandt, who smashes it upper 90 from a tight angle, and Borussia Dortmund walk away 2-0. At this point, Joey, I think we've said enough about our match analysis, and we want to analyze this match more from the frame of what actually matters for next year when we play games that count.
Sure. I mean, when we look at this game, to me there are a couple things. One, in that we were outclassed for the entire game, just about, and we still got to win, which is more than we can say in a lot of other seasons in matches like this. And I think that is at least a positive takeaway, that we could keep fighting. I don't really think we necessarily started the match terribly well, or had players out there that were performing their best. I thought Guirassy was fairly poor. But at the same time, if we're parking the bus that much, Sergio Guirassy is not the guy who's going to get the breakaway. But that being said, we did get the win. And one thing I did find, I guess, a little bit funny about this match was, maybe funny is a harsh word, ironic, I suppose. We haven't beaten Stuttgart since 2022. And when Adeyemi scored that goal, I don't know, it was exciting. I was ready for a 0-0 draw. But then the Stuttgart players really just were somehow so offended by Adeyemi doing the exact same fairly tame goal celebration that Dennis Undav did against us just last fall. And of course, they were really up in arms because Dortmund players were not getting back to the center circle fast enough. And, I get it at that point, there's only a few minutes left. But, what does Dortmund do at that point? They score again. So, Stuttgart, yeah, you got us the last bunch of times, but not this time.
I mean, how soft is that, honestly? Like, the first goal, you could, argue, we're trying to win the game, we want to speed it up. I mean, fighting slows the game down. I've complained about it. Emre Can, in particular, used to be a man who was guilty of such things, but
Yep.
After we scored the second, Like, what are we doing?
Those chairs coming on the pitch. I mean, oh
Like,
man.
I was a sore loser as a child. My sister can attest to that. My cousins can attest to it. Everyone who knew me at the time can attest I was a sore loser as a child. That stuff, that was worse than anything I ever did. That was crazy.
I was going to say that's probably the worst fan behavior of the weekend, but I think in a certain Dynamo Dresden match there were ultras that like tore a flag down and burned it on the pitch or something like that, and riot police involved. But anyway,
Listen,
back to
I've
Dortmund.
the Dynamo Dresden fans have done worse things in recent years. But back to Dortmund, Joey, I have a very serious question for you now that we've transitioned from our unseriousness. The midfield, is this a coaching issue? Is this a no Felix Nemecha issue? Is this Stuttgart being very good? Like, what was going on here? Because in the first half and in the second half, for 90 minutes, Borussia Dortmund showed no desire to control the game. They showed no ability to do it.
We Yeah, I mean we couldn't hold the ball to save our lives, more or less. And I'm just not really sure. I mean, Felix Mecha, for as much as I criticize him, I suppose at least brings some stability in the back, and that he can recycle the ball to his teammates. Um, I I don't always know what we're doing with Marcel Sabitzer out there these days. Um, I I keep waiting for a a really good performance from him, and it just hasn't been coming. And I do think that in the last couple of matches, he has been a weak point in our midfield. We also haven't had a, a traditional 10 out there the last couple games with Brandt on the bench. And this is another game where I was excited to see Carney Chukwuemeka get the start, because I don't think he started enough. But I thought he just really struggled the whole game. Had trouble getting into it. His passing wasn't great. Um, couldn't really win those one-on-ones like we've seen when he's been a substitute. Um, and then, as I mentioned a little while ago, you know, Gu- Guirassy is just silenced when there's no plan to get him service. I mean, if we're in the front, like if we're on the front foot, putting a lot of pressure on the opponent's box, winning free kicks, getting corners, Girassi gets on the end of those. But in a match like this where we're absorbing so much pressure, he's not going to be the player to get on a breakaway. And I felt that the couple of times that Maxi Bayer did find some space, there was just nobody. There was nobody in support. Um, and I mean, we were texting about this in the group chat at one point, early to the middle of the second half, I think, probably early second half, where we're like, this game needs Silva and Adiemi, like a little bit of dynamism, a bit more speed, because it, we were just, I mean, there's not a better term than parking the bus, but I don't know if parking the bus was the game plan or if that was because we simply could not hold on to the ball, so there was no other choice.
Yeah, so Carney Chukwuemeka's always had this issue where he, like, it's the same as Sabitzer, essentially. Like, I had the rant last week. Like, he does not like to play a lot of passes, and Sabitzer's the exact same, so it would be much more intriguing for me to see, like, Carney play with Bellingham and Mecha, because you have, like, Mecha doesn't get on the ball anywhere near enough for a top level player to be a 6 type 8 in a Borussia Dortmund system. But it's not like he's Marcel Sabitzer or Carney Chukwuemeka, where they average about as many passes as like a 10. And like even like Julian Brandt, when he was still like peak age, would average more passes playing in the number 10 space than either of those two guys do playing as number 8s. So it's definitely a bad fit tactically to have both of them in at the same time. That said, I do think the dribbling was actually pretty good from Carney Chukwuemeka. Like, he received the ball under pressure a bunch. He had a couple carries. He was only one of three for successful dribbles, which is like fine. Like, that's like an average game, I guess. but he was fouled twice, and both the times he was able to like really hold them off for like a long time, which I think is valuable. But yeah, he needs to get on the ball more, and otherwise you need to be providing a lot more in attack. He did have one of like our only real shot of the first half, but it's from distance, so how much do you care? Um not a great game from him. Not a great game from Sabitzer, not a great game from Garasi and Maxi Bayer either, because like I kind of want to blame it on Garasi. Like whenever they're on the pitch together, Maxi is a completely different player.
When Girassi and Maxi are on the pitch together.
Yeah, absolutely. Maxi can't do anything when Garasi's on the pitch. It's such
Yeah,
a drop off that I
Girassi
just don't
becomes
understand it.
Girassi becomes the number nine, and when Maxi is playing with Adeyemi or with Fabio Silva, there's just there all of those players are more dynamic and there's more movement. Maxi plays pretty well in the front too, I think, and when he's used as the number nine. And like when he and Kareem Adeyemi link up, I think they make a pretty good partnership up front. And either one of them can run up the wings and move into space. But when we play with Girassi on the pitch, it's so frequently a traditional number nine. And I don't think Bayer has quite figured out how to play with Girassi, but it's not necessarily, it's a two-way streak. I just don't think the two of them play terribly well together.
Yeah,
And
they
if,
really don't.
yeah,
And like I would just like to see more of Maxi like popping up. Like last week we saw him play like a wonderful through ball to Fabio Silva, I think it was. But I don't understand how he can't get any runs into like the channels. Maybe it's like a pressing issue because Grassi doesn't really involve himself that way. But yeah, Maxi Bayer struggled for real. Um, do you think that it's essentially like we're looking at a 5-3-2 next season? Like that's what Nico Kovac wants, and with the squad with who's expected to leave, like that's very feasible in terms of squad planning. Like it's not like we have to sell some players who aren't at the peak of their value, or who aren't about to decline further. And you have a bunch of contract exits that gives you like the squad space to do it that way. So I kind of ask, is this like a front two and we're just like swapping around Brant, Garasi, and Adeyemi, who likely won't be here next year, and then giving like Fabio Silva some minutes as well to try and like get him ready for next year? Because like who's staying? Is Kareem staying? I'm not.
yeah. I
I
mean,
don't. I feel like we haven't heard anything about that.
it's for me right now. It is pretty tricky to like predict what the direction of the club is and the transfers this summer. I mean, of course, we know the match is going to be here next summer, but at this point, like we're not sure about Schlotterbeck. We know Brandt's leaving, Sula's leaving, Ozchan's leaving. Um, but the only other players that I feel like are genuinely safe, it's like Maxi Bayer and Fabio Silva, because I'm even thinking like Marcel Sabitzer, is he sticking around, or are we going to try to find a transfer for him for I don't know 6 million or 8 million? Um, I mean, Job is definitely going to be here next year. I assume Anton will. Ben Savaini's got one more year on his contract, I think. Are we going to try to sell him? Is there a potential extension coming? Is that something that Dortmund wants? Um, and I probably already mentioned Schlotterbeck, but we don't know about him. So there's a lot that feels like it's up in the air right now, especially with the new sporting director Nil Zole book. Since I assume he's going to have quite a bit of influence on not just who we bring, but the kind of a approach that we have to squad building. Um, and it's yet to be seen really how he's going to work with Nico Kovac and how much influence Kovac is going to have on squad building. I mean, we've seen that Kovac can work with. I mean, he was able to get Nuri Sahin's Dortmund into shape, so he can work with the players that he's provided with. Um, but I know at times, especially the last couple of years, we've kind of questioned certain transfers for the aspect of why do we need another striker when we're deficient in defense, that kind of thing. Um, and Kovac has figured out how to work with that. We don't really have any wingers except um, no, we don't have any wingers that I can think of right now, except I guess Inacio is a winger, right?
No,
Um,
he's a 10.
never, never mind then. So that's another thing that Kovac has had to adapt to. So I'm really not sure right now what the plan exactly is, but I have a little bit more confidence at least that there is a plan. And I did like Sebastian Kiel overall, but I do feel a bit more confident with Book in place just because I feel like the Dortmund identity and like what exactly it is we're trying to build has just kind of been floundered the last couple of years. So I I'm optimistic that we're moving in the right direction. I'm just not quite sure what the transfers are going to hold this summer. But I think Dortmund's going to be pretty busy.
Yeah, so coming into this year, every player you just mentioned who's going to be on the squad next year guaranteed, aside from Joe Bellingham, every single player, peak age. Peak age.
Mm-hmm.
That really lines up for like an average age of signings of like 21. Like, depending on if like Nico Schlotterbeck leaves, obviously, because that could bring it up a little bit because you might want to go for like a 26-year-old center back or something like that. But like otherwise, like most of the squad is all senior age players. So, oh my God, I just forgot Jan Koto exists. Um,
Oh man, me too.
I think that Ale Book will be looking to make sure he no longer has a house in Dortmund at the end of the summer. But I don't know. So my point was just gonna be like you have this exciting opportunity to sign these like young uh players that are about to be peak age or are right at the start of it. Like I'm talking 21 to 23 and you're able to fill out the squad with guys in that age and the right profiles and really build something to last and something that could progress, but there are some like misshapen profiles I think still left lying around. Like is if Silva's not going to take shots, is he going to like progress as a creator? It's possible. That's something that peaks later. If Cardi Chukwuemeka is going to be an 8, is he going to be able to start? And if he's playing from the start, even if he's getting subbed off in the 64th minute, is he only ever going to attempt 11 passes? Like, even if we play some better teams, is that going to jump to like 20? Because that's still too low. That's still like
Yeah.
in 60 minutes you need to be giving like 40 minimum. And even in this game, let's compare to Joe Bellingham, who's averaging like in the 60s. He's down at 27, so he's half his average.
Mm-hmm.
That's gotta be like partially tactically, at least, and maybe that's Kovac accounting for Chukwuemeka and Sabitzer not really loving to get on the ball. But there's some interesting midfield profiles there for a team that's in second place. I'll say that.
Well, in second place by quite a bit. I mean,
Yeah.
we've kind of got second place on lock, and I mean we could bomb a couple matches and still be just fine in second place. Um, and I'm sure in some ways that is why Stuttgart supporters were so upset and the players were so upset because Dortmund really doesn't have anything to play for, and Stuttgart fell to fourth after this loss to Dortmund, and they're very much still in the race for the third and fourth Champions League places. So um, I'm glad we can make their life a little bit more difficult this time, though.
Yeah, we don't have like the easiest run in. Like we still have Leverkusen, Hoffenheim, Freiburg, and Frankfurt left, which are all good teams. But it's like
Yep.
we're 11 points clear of Leipzig, I believe it is. Yeah, we're 11 points clear of Leipzig.
Well, like
We
11
are
behind Bayern or
uh,
something.
we're 11 points clear of Stuttgart. We're only 9 behind Bayern.
9 behind Bayern.
But yeah, we're 11 points clear of third and fourth, which puts us 14 points clear of Hoffenheim in fifth. So
Yep, there's a
like,
pretty clear drop off after 6th, I think. Frankfurt's behind by like 10 points or so.
yeah, Frankfurt's 10 points back of Leverkusen. Like, but we're so far above Hoffenheim that like you would essentially need two teams to overcome 11-point swings. So they would need to. There's 6 games left. They would need to win 4 more games than Borussia Dortmund, and like we need to lose
Yeah.
a lot of games.
And that includes a game where we play them.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah. But even then, it's like it's not possible. Like the odds of like those 3 teams all winning out the 6 games, and then Borussia Dortmund like losing to
the rest.
Leverkusen, Hoffenheim, Freiburg, and Frankfurt are so low. And even like maybe we lose the derby. Like even if we draw if we draw 3 games out of our 6 remaining, we're basically a lock to finish top of the rest, not the league.
Yeah. No, I mean we've got second place on lock at this point. It's just a matter of how many points we finish the season on for record keeping, I suppose.
Yeah, and like the last match week we played Bremen, who are 3 points clear of St. Pauli. The last match week they're probably gonna be safe. They're probably gonna be on holiday. You might like they have like 3 really talented young players in their squad that aren't good enough yet for like senior football for the most part, except for the one center back Koulibaly who plays for them. But like the rest of them are not quite ready, but they'll probably be playing that game just for vibes, I guess. For the experience.
The last match,
I think that one will be fun.
The last match could be a tricky one because St. Pauli right now I think is sitting in 16th place, so they very well might have everything to play for in that game, trying to pull themselves out of the relegation zone.
No, because Colm's still below Bremen. I think by that point Bremen will basically be safe. Because you also have to look
the last match. Oh, I was thinking St. Pauli was. Never mind.
No, it's Bremen. They're in 14th. They're
Bremen will be safe.
They're 3 points clear, but it's like that's a lot at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, I mean they're kind of Werder Bremen's sort of like Mainz in the sense that I feel like every few seasons they really struggle and they flirt with relegation, but they manage to stay up anyway.
Yeah, Mbangula, who's like been terrible for the amount of money they spent on him, did score like 2 bangers at the start of the season, which have basically kept them up. Like that's the difference. It's hilarious. Like he has like 4 goals from like 1 XG. And it's like if it wasn't for that, like they would be so relegated it's not even funny. And they spent 10 million on the guy.
Actually, Bremen was relegated a few years ago.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it.
Yeah, they're not that good.
True.
Yeah, like this one guy has 5 goal contributions he has 3 goals from 1.21 expected.
It's the Florian Kofeld season.
And they spent 10 mil on the guy, and they're at the bottom. Like, do you know how much 10 mil is at that part of the table?
I mean, just look
ridiculous.
at
horrific signing. Horrific.
Look at the ad spend of Wolfsburg right now. It's those partnership with OpenAI is not working out so well now.
Oh my god. I tried to call a vet today to schedule an appointment for my dog. I'm changing that. And the first one I called, Joey, "Hi, I'm your AI assistant. This call will be recorded." Click. That was the end of that call. Like, I live in a city for a reason. I'll walk the extra 2 blocks to the second farthest vet. Oh no. Not a 10-minute walk to the vet instead of a 3-minute walk. Because using an AI agent, I'm pretty sure that vet is owned by private equity too. Don't get me.
I mean,
too late. I've been started.
And I just have to laugh at Wolfsburg a little bit because they even have corporate backing.
Joey,
but
I don't know if you remember my very short-lived second podcast, Bundesliga, or the
exchange,
the Bundesliga exchange. You know the teams I said had the worst signings, Werder. The team I said had done the worst squad building over the last 5 years.
Probably Wolfsburg.
That is correct. I specifically stated that people talk about Borussia Dortmund signing strikers.
I mean,
you gotta look at Wolfsburg.
So I mean, that's one like kind of pass I think I give Nico Kovac is his time at Wolfsburg, because I mean we look at like some of the decent managers who've managed a club like Manchester United in the last 10 years, and I mean sometimes the problem is not the manager, sometimes it really is the club management, and Wolfsburg I think is an example of that.
Yeah, they have 2 wingers. 3 if you count Kevin Paredes. So they have 2 wingers. They don't have enough wingers to play a full season with wide players. You want to hear how many strikers they have, Joey?
It's probably 1 or like 5.
Well, they do have 5. They have Mohamed Amoura. They have Jonas Wind. Kento Shiogai, Janin Pajinovic, Adam Dagim, all wingers, or excuse me, all strikers. So they're playing a striker at right wing, a striker at left wing, a striker up front, and then when their wingers are fit, sometimes they play as well, I guess you could say.
Sometimes I hear something like that and I think, oh, that sounds like how I would line up in a game of FIFA, like the video game. But those strategies rarely work in real life. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah. There are some fun guys in there that I would not be amiss if Dortmund went after. Like Kulierakis.
We did get.
He's interesting.
Who did we get from Wolfsburg? Or no, maybe we didn't. Oh yeah, we. So I guess we. Is Wolfsburg where we sent Ozcan for half a season and then recalled him?
Yep, that is correct. Under, I believe, Nico Kovac, or was that Hasenhüttl? I think it was Hasenhüttl. Actually,
I don't know.
But yeah, Pacinovic, I think is he interesting? Let's see. Should Dortmund sign Janin Pacinovic? Yeah, he's got 5 XG and 1,000 minutes in the Bundesliga for a crap team. Oh my god, this heat map is hilarious. The darkest red is the center circle.
It's right in the middle.
Oh my god, that's a relegation heat map if I've ever seen one. But yeah, he has 5 goals from 5 XG in 1,000 minutes. Janin Pacinovic, he's 6'2", left-footed, number 17, 21 years of age. I'd take him. I actually think he's a very good fit. I think that could be like a great Maxi Bayer backup. I found it, Joey. If they get when they get relegated,
maybe we get him on the cheap.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Next up, we have a post-match quote from Gregor Kobel. I don't know how much analysis. We're not even talking about the game at this point.
We digress.
In the first half, we weren't good on the ball, and the second, I added that last part. The positive thing was that it was 0-0, but in the second half, it was a more evenly matched game. skeptical look for our audio
The
listeners.
second half of stoppage time, yes.
They had a lot of possession, but they didn't really create any clear chances either. In the end, we had 2 superb chances in front of goal and scored 2 top-class goals. Throughout the season, it's our defensive performance that carries us, that defines us, that forms the foundation of the whole team, and those 2 goals did us a world of good in the end. The emotions were there for us. It's obviously great fun when you win a game like that away from home in stoppage time. I mean, great chances. That Julian Brandt chance is not great. That is not a great chance. That's a great finish.
I'll give credit to the defense because this was a match that we couldn't hold on to the ball the whole game, and the defenders were much busier than our attackers, clearly. But we won it. It's a clean sheet in a game that we were. It's a clean sheet and a win in a game that we were not the better side. So
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Oh, defensively, absolutely. Like, that was a fantastic defensive masterclass. Yeah. Nothing really else to add there. Do you have a star of the week, Joey?
I do have a star of the week, and this might be the last time I give him the star of the week. Hopefully not, but I'm going to take the opportunity, and that is Julian Brandt. Came on the pitch, made an immediate impact, created for the first goal in large part. I know it fell favorably to Adeyemi, but he did create that, and then that ball flew over to Brandt from Fabio Silva, and I was just thinking, like, as I watched the ball arc, I'm like, that's a Brandt kind of finish right there, and he didn't disappoint. So I've said it before on the pod, but really disappointed that we didn't get an extension for Brandt, because I think especially when he's come off the bench this season, he's been phenomenal. So it's gonna be a big loss for us this summer.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Kareem Adeyemi as my star of the week. Some people were saying, oh, wingback Adeyemi, we're back to seeing wingback Adeyemi. Yeah, because he's putting a shift in for a team that was horrific all day. And when he came off the bench, he was absolutely fighting for every inch on the pitch, was doing his job a little too aggressively at one point, picked up the yellow card, but when it mattered most, he cuts inside, beats his defender so many times. People are like, oh, Adeyemi always over dribbling, bad decision making. And it's like, well, actually, statistically, if you look at it, not to sound like a nerd, but like if you take the 0.12 chance and you convert it 40% of the time into the 0.39 chance, like he did in this match, that's actually good decision making. And it allowed him to then take a shot from a very good position, very central to the goal, little pressure on him, and the finish is spectacular. Basically into the side netting, 0.86 expected goals on target. Excellent work there. The threat of his pace, really helped by the fact that we were literally parking the bus deep block, and then you just like let the guy run, and that's what happens. Starts the play a little disconnected, but he's able to catch up with that pace, beats his defender very calmly, and takes care of the end product as well. So he's my star of the week, and now we have a dud of the week. Joey, I'll let you go first.
My dud of the week is what I'm going to call the midfield of mediocrity. It's Marcel Sabitzer and Carney Chukwuemeka. I don't have their stats in front of me. Just from the eye test and my memory, I thought both of them had a pretty poor game. I expect better. Well, I want to expect better, but yeah, they were my duds of the week.
Yeah, Marcel Sabitzer led the midfield in passes attempted, and that feels like something you would say when Stuttgart is successfully pressing your midfield and realize they only have to deny the ball to Joe Bellingham because no one else can really hurt them. If you look at a lot of his incomplete passes, they're pretty much all straightforward into the central areas. basically what I'm saying is Marcel Sabitzer failed to pass the ball successfully in central areas. So, not great. Not great. Not great. What else is there to say? What does Marcel Sabitzer do defensively? Like fine, but we
He's a
had none of the
body.
ball. He's there.
Yep,
He's here.
he's
He's
there
there. He's not
on the pitch.
everywhere. He is there. He is on the pitch. So yeah, he's my dud of the week. I don't want to be too mean. But I've been mean enough. Anyway, let's talk about the match coming up against Bayer Leverkusen. I think this is probably like, do we go back to Adeyemi and Bayer? Fingers crossed.
I hope so. It would be nice to see that pairing again, or a start from Fabio Silva. Just because I think I'm trying to get a good feel for him as a player, since he is still fairly new. And I feel like we have a pretty good idea of how this player performs as a substitute. We know what to expect, but I just don't feel like I've seen enough of him from the start yet. So I would love to see another start from Silva. Leverkusen, another team that is still has everything to play for in terms of trying to secure a place in Europe next season. So I don't expect them to be pushovers, but I think this is a home match. Is that right?
I believe so. I just
Um,
moved so I can't see. This is a home match, yes.
cool.
Um
So I mean, I'd
and
like to think the crowd will get behind us.
yeah, I really want to win this game so I can say like low key we should lose to Hoffenheim because then Leipzig would be more likely to drop out of the Champions League places. Um but I'm not going to do that because I want to win every game that's left.
Leipzig might do that to themselves anyway, though. We'll see.
Well, I feel like
Uh,
we should give them a helping hand. Um
Always.
but but what else do I expect from this game? Let's see some Inacio minutes. I think he took his bib off at one point, right?
I think so. I mean, there were a couple players that were warming up that never came on, but I would like to
Yeah,
see Inacio get a few minutes. I mean, I don't know, why not give him a shot? I mean, maybe get Reggiani out there a little bit more too. Um, I expect, man, Alex
yeah. I think
Grimaldo's
we'll
probably
start
going to
to
be. Oh, go ahead.
see them after the Hoffenheim match. I think we'll see a little bit more of
Yeah.
them.
I do think Alex
But
Grimaldo will be a thorn because he's always a pain in the ass. Um, as is Andrake, who looks kind of like a James Bond villain or something. Not even a Bond villain, like a cyberpunk villain or something. I don't know. Now I'm being mean, Eli.
he
Uh,
no he has a bad haircut. That's
he
fair.
looks
It's fair to
he
say that Robert Andrich has a bad haircut. I think
he
it's the
does.
consensus opinion. I think his wife doesn't like it either. That's my hot take. Pretty sure he's married. I don't actually know. Next up, we have some news. Bild coming out and said Sarah Guirassy has made up his mind and intends to leave Borussia Dortmund in the summer provided a suitable offer comes in. He has been giving it some thought over the past few weeks, and his decision has now been finalized. And Joey, you probably remember what I said about this in the group chat, but I basically just said I love to believe Bild when it suits the narrative I prefer. That's definitely what Twitter does. I'm not even on Twitter anymore, and I know that. And this one I'm choosing to believe.
I mean, I have to imagine there must be some sense with Book coming in of like the, Dortmund are going to want a starting striker next season, and anybody who's, I mean, okay, I can see different opinions if you've only looked at scores or stats, but for those of us who've watched most of the games this season, I don't think there's many of us who believe that Sergio Guirassy is going to be a strong enough striker to be Dortmund's main scoring threat next season. Um, I know there's been rumors about Guirassy possibly leaving since January, and I think it's probably in everybody's best interest if he does move on, even if it isn't a huge transfer fee or I think they've a mysterious release clause of like 25 or 35 million. Because there's also a pretty substantial salary that could be off the books, and I just think his past is brighter than his future with Dortmund.
Yeah, it's also even the goal numbers aren't that great at this point. It's 17 league and Champions League goals in how many? In 2,600 minutes. Like that's good, but that's not good for a guy that you need to like cross to relentlessly and limits the potential of your other attackers.
And his goals tend to come in clusters, so we'll get like several in a short span of time, and then we'll have many appearances where it feels like there's nothing from him. And in some of those games where we don't get anything from him, he's been pretty bad this season.
So he has 2 goals in his last 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, oh, these are international games. So if you look at his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if you look at his last 10 games, he has 4 goal contributions, but that's 2 against Atalanta. So if you look at his last 8 league goal contributions, or oh my god, this is terrible. I'm embarrassing myself. In his last 8 league games, he has 2 goals.
Yep, that sounds
That's
about
not
right.
a small sample size, and they both come against the promoted sides. If you go back before that, Mainz 2 goals, Wolfsburg a goal, Heidenheim 2 goals. Joey, where are those teams on the table?
They're in the relegation zone, Eli.
Well, they're all in the bottom half. His most recent goal before that, Bremen. Bremen, also
yep,
in the bottom half.
also down there.
His most recent goals before that, Villarreal. Oh my god. Wait, what? When was his most recent goal before that? Augsburg! Most recent. Oh, that's a yellow card. Never mind, not a goal. He has last scored or assisted against a top half team in
The last
October.
year.
He had an assist against Leipzig. That was his last top half team. And
I mean, we were.
that's October 4th is the last time he scored or assisted against a top half team.
I mean, you could go back to some of our older episodes, even in like November, December, where I think we were saying we thought Guirassy was probably washed. And I mean, he
Yes,
did kind of regain his form for like a short span at one point, but I mean, if we look at the season as a whole, though, I mean, like I said, he's not the guy that Dortmund is going to be able to rely on next season. So sell him now or let him basically warm the bench and eat up a 12, 14 million euro salary.
Joey. Sarah Guirassy has 0 goals against teams in the top half this season. He has 1 assist and 0 goals.
And we're in second place. That is bad. That is bad for
Oh
a
my
striker
god.
of his caliber. To any club who might be
Bruce,
listening to this, Guirassy's amazing,
listen,
and you should definitely
don't,
buy him for millions, tens of millions,
yeah, don't
hundreds
listen
of
to
millions.
us.
Yeah, don't listen to us.
Joey,
He's great.
I have a conspiracy theory. How is the Bundesliga not putting this on the broadcast? How are we? We do not get paid enough to do constant research to know these fun facts. Whereas if you watch a sports game in the United States, you get fun facts like these. Like, how do we not know that Sarah Guirassy has not scored a goal against a team in the top half since last season?
It hurts the narrative of the big games. You don't want to read that kind of stat before the Leverkusen match when Guirassi's starting, because then people will assume, oh, well, Dortmund's not going to score, and you want to keep it seeming like it's going to be even, uh, or as exciting
To
as
be fair,
possible.
in the Bundesliga, we only play 14 games against the top half sides, and we have
A few of them
4
left.
remaining games against top half sides. However, he's still played 10 matches against top half sides. He has not scored 1 goal. He has to score against either Hoffenheim, Leverkusen, Frankfurt, or Freiburg in order to have a goal against a top half side. That's unbelievable. That is breaking news because no one else has covered that. Guys, we are such
Heard it
elite
here
podcasters,
first.
researchers.
Heard it first on Dortmund Dispatch.
Karim Adeyemi said on his future, "My focus is on playing well in every match and helping the team. We'll see what happens after that. You never know what the future holds. I feel at home here. I feel at home everywhere." I'm not talking about this. I'm starting to think he's gone. I love Karim Adeyemi. He's probably one of my favorite Borussia Dortmund players aside from Marco Reus ever. I think he's out the door. This quote's nothing. It's nothing.
I have a theory because this I put kind of right up there with Schlotterbeck wanting a new contract if there's a release clause this summer, where it's like it's so non-committal. Where I think some of these guys have an idea in their head that, like, if they're selected for the German national team, Schlotterbeck will definitely be there. I think Adeyemi is sort of a World Cup hopeful. But if he gets selected for the team and does something crazy, there's always some breakout stars, and there's always scouts looking at players at the World Cup. So I do think there is sort of this, I don't know if I want to call it a delusion that a lot of players have, that it's like, I'm going to go to the World Cup and get discovered. And it's like, dude, you have a great place at a phenomenal team that you make an impact at, where you're appreciated by the fans. So I don't know what's going to happen with Adeyemi. I would like to think that I'm optimistic that he's going to stay. I'll give it like 55-45. But I mean, that there's nothing in that quote other than I'm open to
I don't know.
options.
I mean, like, if you actually like read the quote from like a more sensible thing, like, I'm starting to think he goes because the club doesn't wants to sell him and wants to cash in a little bit. If they keep Schlotterbeck, like, I think they'd be more willing to part. Otherwise, I think he might have a better chance to stay. But if you read this quote, like, it's actually like, "Oh, I feel at home here," and then he adds in the last part because he's media trained by his agent and they don't want to give up leverage. But like, because he says that last part, it's impossible to look into this quote as anything. Like, this is the most meaningless quote ever. And we just talked about it for 2 minutes.
Yep.
And
Thanks
we've
for
learned nothing
clearing that up,
from
Kareem.
that quote. Yeah,
Pretty
we've learned
much.
nothing. We've speculated blindly.
We know
because that quote
we know
is
that
nothing.
the important thing is that he feels at home. That is, no
He
matter
is a
what.
citizen of the world.
He feels at home.
He's a citizen of the world, Joey.
Aren't we all?
His passport doesn't say Germany. It doesn't say Austria. It just says world. It's a picture of Earth.
Hey, here's
From the
a fun
stars.
little
That's where he feels
caveat
it.
that I feel the need to throw in there, because Eli, it's completely unrelated to anything we've been talking about, but this might be the only time, I mean, certainly the only time I personally have ever done this. You, I'm assuming, as well, but this is the only time I've ever recorded a podcast while there is a moon between myself and other human beings. And I just think that's pretty crazy, pretty cool. Because there's
Huh?
the Artemis mission right now, and Right about now, the
Oh, okay.
astronauts are on the other side of the moon. So I think it's, yeah, pretty cool. You,
That
me, and the rest of humanity have a planet between us and other humans. Well, not a planet, a moon,
that is
but
cool.
still pretty cool.
Uh,
Anyway,
Speaking of we do want to highlight some other quotes that are also meaningless. Schlotterbeck said he can imagine staying at Borussia Dortmund. I mean, he could imagine that from Real Madrid. Like he can do that all he wants. We're not really going to talk about his quotes because we've talked about it so much, and
yep.
his quotes similarly mean nothing. Like he's had good conversations. That could be a mutual understanding that he's departing at the end of the season. It could be a mutual understanding that he wants an extra 2 million euros on his salary. We have no idea. We're not going to contemplate on that. If you want to hear our takes on it, you can listen to the last 10 episodes where we've talked about it every single time. Our next story is the 20-year-old Norwegian winger Edvin Austbo, who plays for Norwegian champions Viking FK, has a dream transfer destination, Borussia Dortmund. The player is willing to do everything he can to secure this move, though it is not yet known whether or not the club is interested. I looked into his numbers briefly. The expected assists are actually pretty interesting for me. I'm not familiar with looking at numbers from that league or players who have transferred out of the league, so I don't know how they translate. He is 20 years old. The expected assists are good. The XG is not necessarily very good. But it's interesting. He's 20 years old. He's not so short. He'll never be good. I haven't seen him run. Is he fast enough? That'd be my biggest question. How's the dribbling ability? Yeah, he's interesting enough, I guess.
I mean, I think it's an interesting prospect, especially with the success of the implementation of Daniel Svensson into the squad. Um, I mean, this could be a bargain transfer for somebody who, might not be a superstar, but could be a very reliable option on the wing. And if we are moving in the direction of a formation next season with wingers, then I have to imagine Book and Ricken and the others are looking at some options besides just Jaden Sancho. So I don't know. I'm satisfied with that link because I think it could be a reasonable option at a pretty reasonable price.
Yeah, he takes 2 shots per game. That's like good, not great. Point 0.7 on target suggests like mediocre shot location, like not bad by any means. But you'd like a little more there. Defensively, there's not really much to see because he plays on a dominant team in a weak league. The dribbling volume is high. Like he attempts 3 a game. Like that's not low, but that's not in it's not so good that you would expect that to immediately translate to the Bundesliga and have him be plus plus, but he does complete 51% of his dribbles, which is about 7-8% above average compared to most top leagues. I don't know what that is supposed to look like in such a poor league. You'd probably like to see it higher to expect it to translate right away, but you know, he wants to play for Borussia Dortmund. That's fun, and he's probably fairly cheap because he's not producing so above and beyond. But
And he's young.
let's track and see how he
Yeah.
progresses. He is very young. Um, Next up, we have Diego Moreira is planning to leave Strasbourg this summer. Borussia Dortmund are one of the clubs interested in signing him. The transfer fee is likely to be between 30 and 40 million euros for a player with about 8 goal contributions who plays on the wing and does not defend very much. I don't know where 30 to
Yeah,
40 million euros come from, but
I'm
maybe
I'm
he's
not
going to Chelsea because he's
I'm
already
not too
owned by
actually
Buko.
say actually what I was about to say was I'm not terribly keen on this because I believe this is a player who's already gone through the whole bought by Chelsea, passed around through multiple loans, and then moved on to another club. And I don't know, 30 to 40 million, it just kind of feels like he's a player who probably has a reasonable ceiling of potential, but he's gotten caught up in the various transfer cycles and that has probably inflated his price over the last few transfer windows because he's moved around and everybody wants to make money on the next transfer. But I mean, we've got if there's a 20-year-old option from Viking, then I'd rather get somebody at under 10 or 12 that has high potential than another. I don't know. Book is here, I hope, to prevent us from landing on these 30 million signings that just sit on the bench. So that's what I would be afraid Diego Moreira would be.
Yeah, I'd honestly be so. Moreira will be 22 by the time next season starts. Like, he turns 22 in early August. He's got about 8 goal contributions. He's overperforming his expected numbers. Auspo has. He's also overperforming his XG, but like if he wasn't, that would be a problem. Being on the best team in a weak league. Um, he has better. He has way better per 90s. Like, we're talking about 9 expected goal contributions in 1,800 minutes compared to about 5 in 2,100 minutes. Obviously, League One is a bit better, but we're talking about a player who is like, he's gonna turn 21 in May, so he's a full year younger. In Auspo, he's much more interesting. The only thing about Moreira is that he can play on both wings, and like he can play poorly on both. Like, he's played poorly in League One on both wings, and he's not so young where there's like time for significant growth. It's like he needs to break out in the next 2 years for you to get value there. And like, why are you paying top market for a player who's performed very middle market? I don't think this is something that's going to happen for anywhere near that price tag. I think Dortmund will stay away.
I think so.
Okay, and then real quickly, is there any other news? I think there has been some like late breaking stuff after our notes were finished. So we have among the candidates for a new center back at Borussia Dortmund is 19-year-old Moroccan center back Abdelhamid Ait Boudlal of Rennes. Any idea who this guy is?
Who?
You really want me to attempt to pronounce that again?
No, I'm just kind of half joking.
Abdelhamid.
Of
He's
course.
a right-sided center back with 875 minutes this season in League One. He's 19 years of age. He is 6'3". I mean,
big.
I don't know. Like, if we re-sign Nico Schlotterbeck, I don't have an issue with that, because having another guy to complement Reggiani, I think, is good. Like, let's have another guy for him to kind of like fight it out with.
For sure. I just completely unfamiliar with the player, so I can't speculate too much on it.
Yeah, I've never seen the guy play. I've never, like, his center back statistics are impossible to say much of. Like, is this guy capable of winning a duel? He's 19. Even if he's not now, he probably is in the future.
Yeah, if he has somebody like
know.
Schlotterbeck to teach him the ropes or give him some mentorship, then first we need Schlotterbeck on a new contract, though, and I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, we're bored of that, so we can go into the Fantasy Bundesliga roundup. Because even though Borussia Dortmund's matches don't really matter anymore, you know what matches do matter, Joey? Fantasy Bundesliga. Matches. Yeah, they matter so much, Joey. Match week 28th. In 5th, we have Supercalifragil... Huh?
Did Pints of Bayer win?
He was in 10th, so he doesn't really deserve a shout-out, Joey. It's kind of a shame that you wasted that. Supercalifragilistic is in 5th, KKP Joey, every week. KKP BG is in 4th. German Plate is in 3rd. Von Eichel BVB 09, BVB, 09 is in 2nd. First top 5 appearance of the season, I believe. And Larry buys a lighter with his first week victory, but he is one of our top players back-to-back years. So good for him.
Well done, Larry. You can go buy yourself
maybe he's
a lighter
not a top
now.
player this year. He's top 13, unlike me, who's above that. Anyway, that'll do it for us. Is there anything that you want to plug before we head out, Joey?
Yeah, if you happen to be in the Raleigh-Durham area of North Carolina this weekend, the Baruchian Triangle venue, the Boot Room, is going to open their doors early for us for the match against Leverkusen. So come on by to the Boot Room, 9:30 a.m. On Saturday, obviously, and we'll be there, have a couple beers, or don't, just hang out. That's all I got.
Hell yeah. I have nothing. So you can find me here next week on Dortmund Dispatch, where I will be making terrible jokes. But that'll do it for us. Please like, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff, and have a good one.
Jadon Sancho to score. No mistakes this time.
That is a rocket.
Royce and another fantastic goal by Marco Royce. Haaland's volley is beautiful beyond
Jetzt
compare.
kommt das Wunder von Dortmund. Foulspiel von Inso an Götze.
Needs to lay it off. We're going to shot away. Oh, what a goal!